I pledge to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. No. Okay, can we have the motion to adopt the meeting minutes from the June 1st meeting? The motion, John Normile, second. Mark, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. And under old business, PLZBA 2022-0062, 806 to 814 River Street. Area variances are requested. The applicant, on behalf of the owner, Troy Community Land Bank, proposing to subdivide 4 vacant lots into 6 for the construction of 2-story single-family homes. And variances sought are part of the agenda, so I'm not going to read that. So is the applicant present? He's not. Okay, so that takes care of that, huh? Pardon me? Habitat for Humanity. No, okay.
Does that just automatically reschedule to tonight's meeting without any input from the applicant?
Oh, so we didn't, so we're, okay. Okay, said forget it. Again, we just tabled it. Can you table it twice? Oh, table it indefinitely. I thought you said definitely. Okay, do we have a motion to table this indefinitely? John Normile, do we have a second? Mark, all in favor for the table, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. That was easy. New business, PLZBA 2022-0068, 561 to 565 Congress Street. Special use permit and an area variance. The applicant, Adam Wilkie, is proposing to convert the existing storefronts on 561, 563, and 565 Congress Street into 3 residential units. The applicant present? Bringing out the big guns tonight.
Mr. Chairman.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Did you say Mr. Chairman, Mr. Griffin?
Mrs. Chairman.
Oh, okay, okay. Slip of the tongue. Go ahead.
You may be familiar with myself and Fred Ring. This is the 4th time we've been here on this project. It's the 4 buildings on the north side of Brunswick Road, just before Brunswick Avenue comes down the hill. And he purchased the building with the idea of putting student housing in on the lower floor. And I believe at one of the hearings, you gave him a variance under those conditions. We're here tonight asking for a variance to be able to put the same apartments in without any parking space, because my client has gone up and down the hill and talked to every homeowner, everybody in the area, and nobody wants to sell property, rent property, part of their parking lots. And so we're naked without our own parking lot. So we're asking your indulgence so that the property can be put to some use. Fred Ring is the engineer that's been involved, and I believe that he's communicated with the city engineer.
Okay, so just by way of background, for the past couple of years, we've been trying to put a parking lot in the rear of these 3 buildings.
Right.
We intuitively, you look at it and it seems that a parking lot could be constructed back there. We came up with a layout, and I met with the city engineer I showed him our proposed layout, and we came to the conclusion that it would be dangerous to back out onto Brunswick Avenue. So we went back to the drawing board. We tried another couple different designs. We weren't able to come up with a design using the existing land that's there. So we tried to purchase right away from the neighbor north of the property. That didn't work out. They didn't want to sell any property. We communicated with the neighbor going towards Stewart's. Please forgive my bearings. And we were able to come to a conclusion to purchase a piece of land from him. And then so we were able to design a park, come up with a feasible design. As you folks may be familiar, that whole area is along an escarpment. It's very steep along there. So we came up with a design after we got our approvals. We went from preliminary design into final design, and we concluded that it would cost over $90,000 to construct a parking lot back there. You know, you might look at one or two of these numbers under a microscope and say that the estimate could be high, but
Higher.
it could be higher, yes. You know, especially with today's numbers. So it's just not economically feasible to build a parking lot back there.
Also, I want to add that the land there, so it's east, that's going towards Stewart's at the Brunswick. Well, further down, maybe 100 yards, actually, there was a landslide that happened maybe 7, 8 years ago. So Fred was actually concerned about that as well. And so we would have to get like geocore or
Geotechnical engineering, soil boring.
soil borings to make sure that we do that. And also the property that the guy was going to let me purchase from him, the east one, 567 Congress or 569 Congress. That one was, it's all treed and on a hill. So you would have to obviously build that up, put a retaining wall, and also, you know, do the geocore samples. There's gonna be a lot of engineering in order to even do that. And so in order to come around, and also, mind you, it is where the tenants would park for the building we're talking about, 561, 565 Congress Street, they would even have to walk further than say or about the same distance as the parking lot that's just east. It's already presented there, but that parking lot east of there is whose parking lot is that?
Just one moment. We wrote a letter to that person. Their name is Robert Altman at 3 Brunswick Ave.
There's one at Congress Street.
Yeah, that's it. It goes from Congress to Brunswick.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, we wrote a letter to the people who own the parking lot down the street to try to rent some spaces. Why don't you elaborate on how you talk to the people across the street to rent some space? The new brewery.
Oh, so across, so another parking lot area where we could possibly is one that I think is the reason why I never came to fruition, is because of the brewery right across the street back in 2017, 2018, College City Brewery, Louis Emery, David Farley, and probably another silent guy. They couldn't have parking. So you just say, well, can we use your parking lot? It's right across the street. And he he's been very not forthcoming, the opposite of forthcoming, whatever that is, reluctant to come out why he won't rent that space to me. But I got a feeling it's either he's got his own plans with the building, I don't know. But he wants to not do that.
And maybe I'll take this moment of silence for a second, just to elaborate that Adam, or my client, did not create the hardship. You know, this, the right-hand turn lane used to go up Brunswick Ave was part of the Congress Street reconstruction project. So since those parking spots were taken away, it's become very difficult to rent those storefronts.
Now I have a question about the upstairs. Is that what you were here for before? I mean, I remember when you were all here before, but are the upstairs already rented?
Yeah, the upstairs apartments,
Yeah.
what they're used for it's fully occupied. Yeah,
Right,
upstairs.
so,
Just the downstairs, it's not.
right, but You're talking about,
Three additional units being proposed.
no, I understand that.
Two.
Yeah, no,
Whatever we do.
okay, but my question is, do you need 11 spaces for just the storefront apartments?
No, because in order to make the, go ahead.
So you need the 11 for the whole building? Right, that's my question. Right, okay. So it's not 11 additional ones, 11 altogether. And we approved what you did, obviously we approved it, you wouldn't have done it. The upstairs, I mean, whatever you were here for, and maybe you were here for, what were you here for before, Red?
It was a variance just to get the housing in there.
Yeah, okay, right.
And having lived out Spring Avenue.
Could you talk into the microphone, please?
For 40 years, I've come in Pauling Avenue every morning, made that turn, and never had be held up by a bus. The traffic always slides by one way or the other. And when he said that he had been dealing with people and trying to get land, the letter that he sent out is dated May 2nd, 2021. So it's at least a year that they've been involved in trying to get land to put a parking spot space in there. So we ask your indulgence to consider this.
Okay, thank you.
Another thing that, would actually, I'm looking forward to doing it too. I just like, improving things. All my apartments are really nice, and I try to keep them really nice and get some, good people in there. But is right now, as it stands, storefronts are just vacant, and there's not much
Right,
appeal to the building. And I would like, and I don't know if this is part of the planning board. I'm not too good with the boards, you know what I mean? But I know this is zoning, so it probably doesn't have to pertain to you, but with approval and passing, I guess, this is zoning to planning, then, it would actually bring a different facade, a new life
right,
with the facade being updated.
right,
Which we actually then drawn,
right.
which we want to conform to the,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Do we have any other questions for the applicant?
I have a few questions for Aaron and Elena. Depending on what the use is in the lower, can you hear me? Is my mic on? Okay. Yeah. Depending on the use that's on the lower level floors, there's going to be some requirement of parking anyway,
Correct, even
Yeah.
if it was commercial, it would require parking.
right? Okay. And under the new zoning ordinance, we lose the authority to even grant special use permits, don't we?
The city maintains.
We as in the
ability to do
ZBA.
ZBA.
Yeah, I know the city can still do that. I meant
Yes.
like, we don't have that power anymore. So this is like our last chance to do one of these if we wanted to.
Correct.
Okay. Just wanted to. Yeah, that's all the questions I had.
Okay, does
Do you?
Katie have a question?
Yeah, I just, so the building in front is yours. Is the building behind that one?
It's a two-family, it's a brick structure. Yeah, it's part of the same, on the same lot.
It's all on the
Yeah,
same.
yeah, the same lot, yeah.
Okay.
So it's 7, so right now as it stands, it's 5 units on the second and third floor of 561 to 565 Congress Street. It's 5 units, and then there's 2 units, 2-family, a separate building in the back that is off of Brunswick. Actually, the address is 2 and 4 Brunswick.
Right, okay.
That's good for it. And then storefronts, we're proposing either 2 or 3, depending on light ventilation, which he knows, to do the storefront. Because up until this point, in the time I've tried to rent these things out for the last, I think I've owned the building for almost 5 years, or 4, at least 4. The only proposed uses I've had from people are non-for-profits, a barber shop, but as soon as they heard there was no parking, they said, "Oh no, I can't do that." So I
Mhm.
wasted my time meeting the guy. I don't know. I don't think there's much more. A couple of non-for-profits and a barbershop guy. But the before that, before I purchased it, it was a eBay retailer that kind of used it for storage and stuff.
Mhm.
There was a pizza shop there.
was
None
a
have
boutique.
lasted more than 2 or
Right.
3 years.
Yeah.
And there at one point it was a boutique
Mhm.
right up until I bought it. Then like the last 3 months, it took like 5 months to close, but whatever. It was like that. The boutique moved out. That was on the left, and that's it. So it hasn't been a viable with its current use. It hasn't had much viability since that new turning lane has been put in, which has been about 10 to 12 years or something like that.
Okay, do we have, John, do you have any questions at the moment? Okay, do we have anybody to speak in favor of this proposal? Anybody to speak in opposition? We had a couple of letters of opposition, I know earlier, which is only fair to say, but we had, anybody here in the audience want to speak? Okay, do we have any, further
There was a couple of letters.
questions, remarks?
Yeah, we did get
Better
a
keep
couple of
quiet.
letters and I can say when I drove by, I know one of the letters addressed the upkeep of the property. And I know from the drawings that it's, you know, certainly going to be an improvement and it's going to look very nice. But I did notice along Brunswick Road, a ton of garbage. And I don't know if that's because someone moved out.
Are you talking about, if you're talking about this past weekend, then yeah, tenant just moved out.
Okay.
It was Tuesday or Monday on
Okay.
4th of July, I think.
That's what it looked like. and
Yeah,
that's-
yeah, he
okay.
just moved down, left a whole bunch of stuff there, and I haven't had a guy go over there yet to do, you know, clean that with my
Yeah.
dumpster. But
Okay.
but one of those letters of opposition, I think it was one of the neighbors in the back in Brunswick. He did stand before us and here, I don't know, if zoning or planning or whatever, but he said that, since I took it over, he's noticed an improvement in the
Improvement.
property in terms of tenant base. And so, okay, and of those 7 units that are currently in there, the 2 people just haven't left. The 3 people, I'm not gonna kick them out because they pay rent on time and they don't have any problems.
Right.
But the other 5, I've renovated all those apartments and, you know, improved the property. I've made some exterior modifications to improve it, but, you know, I want to ultimately put up a little courtyard with some shrubbery and stuff, which I actually put on the plans. But also the facade mainly on the Congress Street
Yeah.
is gonna need main improvement.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like holding off because I don't know what's gonna happen. So,
Now I have another question that's not, it's not something that's a requirement, but it's, have you ever considered offering incentives to tenants, who don't have cars, who would use public transportation? A place where they could safely lock up, say, a bike, to encourage, you know, tenants who might not even bring a car and the parking would be an issue.
yeah, I mean, I would definitely consider it. I mean, I have no problem building like a lean-to off, you know, right in those little courtyard gated kind of right next to, right off that 2-family in the back. So you wouldn't see it from the street, and so it wouldn't be
Mhm.
susceptible or as appealing to maybe a theft person or a person who wants to, you know, take things. I can put a lean-to with some like, you know, hasps on it, and people can put their bikes in there.
Okay.
If that's one of the things I got to do to make it. but I think
No,
it'd
and I'm
improve the
not
property.
suggesting that it is. It wouldn't be a stipulation. I'm just kind of offering that as a way to possibly.
It's a good idea. I never actually, no
take
one's
care
ever
of
even
the-
considered it. I haven't even thought of it, to tell you the truth, but I always just thought, you know, they got the buses, but you know.
Some
people
of the
do like
newer
bike,
buildings,
Electric bikes.
yeah, some of the newer buildings are including that. They're including like a storage place inside the building so people can keep bikes, you know, maybe offering a bus pass or something to the tenants who might, you know, be using public transportation. Just an idea, but not a stipulation.
Okay, well, if it was, I'd be open.
Okay, do we have anything further to discuss or are we ready to move on?
No secret on this one.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, say, could you come up, please, into the microphone?
Music. Music, yeah.
I live in this neighborhood almost 40 years.
You got to give your name, sir, into the microphone if
My
you
name
would.
is Jan Shimiginovsky,
Okay,
and
you lived there 40 years, you said, right?
yes,
Yep,
almost
okay.
40 years. And I remember when this was Fred mentioned about that few parkings, used to was parkings, but they made this as a right turn uphill.
Right.
And
Right.
this was completely unnecessary then. People, I think Susan Blondie wrote a letter asking not to do that because there was something about some people don't like these people who've been there. So without this parking, they've been forced out, you know.
Oh, okay.
And I think this was functioning very good before that. If you would just maybe move a few feet, so these cars will be mixed. Some go straight, some go right.
Uh-huh.
It's not necessary to have this right side completely dedicated to the turn because the traffic what's there can mix it up and easy take
Okay.
care of them.
Okay,
So are
great.
you, are you speaking in favor of
Yes,
this
yes,
project?
I think it's, I don't know how many parkings you're looking for. I think that would be three or four parking, 5 parking.
Only 60 feet long, I think.
Oh, yeah, so that's might be like 6 parking.
Yeah.
Depends on how you, it can be like,
Okay, thank
parallel
you.
to the thing or not.
Thank you.
Use it, right?
Musa,
Use it.
right.
How you like your gloves?
Okay, do we have anything further to say? Are we ready to go? Do we have a motion? I'm just trying to get back where I belong here. I hate.
I can't get into my.
Oh, here. you can- Does this help you? We're just trying, we got little technical difficulties over here. Since paper's been outlawed in the world. Okay, there you go. I don't know what you want to do from there.
No, I'm just for a special use permit.
Oh.
Unnecessary hardship is not.
No, a special use permit isn't really a variance per se.
Right.
What you could do as part of a special use permit would be to have stipulations in
Mhm.
granting the special use. So for instance, for this particular case, the front facade, the first floor facade
Mm-hmm.
looks like a retail building, right?
Mhm.
Commercial building. You probably granting the special use permit would like them to modify that facade
I would hope.
to look more residential.
Which we've
Which you
seen in the
could- But your
past.
stipulation would simply be that they go to the planning commission for that review. And that
Oh.
would be the stipulation of the special use.
Okay.
All right, so then that's enough, right?
Yeah.
I
And
would
they-
think so.
and they
Planning
have to
commission
go
will
anyways,
Hey,
right?
that's
definitely-
the line. Is that right?
You just need to, this is on, you just need to find that the zoning ordinance, the application is in harmony with our zoning ordinance and that it would not adversely affect the neighborhood. Those are the
Okay.
two main things that
Okay.
you need to make a record of.
Okay, you wanna do it? Okay,
Sure.
wait a minute.
Okay, Madam Chair, for PLZBA 2022 0068, I would make a positive motion to approve the special use permit. I believe that the applicant has shown that this renovation, this project would not cause a detriment to the neighborhood. In fact, it would improve based on the drawings that we've seen in the past. And that it does fall in line with the city's zoning. And I would ask that we make a stipulation that the applicant go before planning to have the final drawings and project plans approved.
Facade, yeah.
Yeah, are you,
Yeah. well,
Agreeable to
no,
that?
Yeah, we were planning on doing facade.
okay.
Okay.
And as far as the area variance, I would also make a positive motion to approve the area variance. I think the applicant has proved that that building is not going to be able to be used for any other use because they have tried. I don't believe that the request will have adverse effects on the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. And we know because of the city's reconfiguration of that circle, that it was not a self-created difficulty.
Okay, do we have a second?
I would second that. And I would also just add that I don't believe this variance to be a substantial deviation from our code either.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, and on the motion, John Normile.
Are we doing both at the same time?
Yeah, can we do both at the same time?
Sorry. Yes, the motion was for both, so the
Okay.
vote will be as to both.
Okay.
I vote yes to approve both.
Mark Palazzi,
Yes, to approve both.
Kathy Conroy, yes to approve both, and Katie McLaren.
Yes, to approve both.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Okay, smart move. Okay. Next case. PLZBA 2022-0071, 70 Oakwood Avenue. A use variance. The applicant, Robert Chartier, on behalf of the owner, Frank Alonso, proposes to convert a two-family residential property into a three-family residential property. Variances sought are for a use variance, maximum density, and parking spaces. Go ahead. You introduce yourself, please.
Yes, ma'am. Name's Robert Chartier, representing a client Frank Alonso. Looking to change this from an R2 zoning to an R3. Currently, the property is 3-bedroom in the first floor. Second floor is 1 bedroom in the front, 1 bath. And currently, the back unit we're looking to have changed to the third unit is a just this 1 bedroom, 1 bath unit. It's got a kitchen, living room area, smaller. I'd say it's probably about 600 square foot.
Okay, so your client lives in New York City
Yes, ma'am.
and you are his representative up here.
Yes.
And when you bought the property or he bought the property, was it, did I read something where he thought it was a unit?
Yes, it's 3 units. To the prior owner that had it, they renovated this back unit. We're trying to get done, which technically it's an illegal unit now, but they renovated and made it a unit and but never had it legally approved as a 3 unit. So, we bought it. It was being sold as a 3 unit, and then come to find out title search, we get everything back. I'm his agent in the deal. So, we bought this about 2 years ago, and so when it came back, it's not a legal unit. So, he bought the property anyway, hoping, we talked to, Dave Sheeran. He gave us, kind of the rundown. We got to come here and, talk to zoning and get the unit approved. So, hoping we could get it approved, since it's functional, everything's there, and, with the access there, the stairwells, plenty of height in the back, kind of, we talked to him, told him what was going on. He kind of gave us a rundown. He said, listen, you got to go there first, and then we'll go from there. So.
But the purchase, you bought it knowing that the 3 units were not approved?
To 2 of the units were, the back one was not approved, yes.
Okay.
Is the back one occupied now?
No, nope.
Okay, but didn't you say the previous owner had it as a 3 unit and that's where you bought it?
Yeah, well, it was, so technically it's not zoned a 3 unit, but it was advertised. So the agent advertises a 3 unit when it was up for sale, which wasn't.
Okay,
supposed
that's,
to
I
be
guess
done.
that's what I'm saying,
Yes.
but he advertised it as a 3 unit,
Yeah.
so you bought it as a 3 unit.
No, we bought it as a 2 unit. But it was advertised as 3, because once you went through title search, you find out once
Oh,
that it's
prior
not.
to the purchase, okay.
Yes.
obviously, Yeah,
And then
okay,
nobody was living there, and then, he told me no one's living there, it's not. We asked them if they went through the steps to get it approved through zoning and planning, they said, they didn't bother with it, they just renovated it and never got around to doing it. I don't know why, for what, but it was probably because of this process, it was never done. So I
so
thought,
does the second floor unit in the back have like a kitchen?
yes, it does. It's fully functional, 1-bedroom apartment with a kitchen, it's got a bathroom, bedroom, living room area. Like I
Right.
said, it's about 600 square feet.
Okay,
So the front unit upstairs is rented, just not the back one.
Yes, ma'am.
okay, does anybody, Katie, you got another question
No, not a question.
or statement or whatever?
Yeah, so in order for us to approve a use variance, we have to meet certain criteria. One of those is that there is not a self-created hardship. And kind of the very nature of what happened is that you bought it as a 2-unit.
No, that's incorrect. We didn't buy it as a 2-unit.
I'm sorry, bought it as a 3-unit, knowing that it was only approved for 2, and that in order to use it for 3, you would have to go through this process.
Right, but we purchased it knowing it was a 2-unit. So if it came back as a 3-unit, if we were under contract for what it was, and we still purchased it knowing it was a 2-unit, that's, those doesn't mean we could have backed out the deal at any point. We still continued to move forward because it was a 2-unit.
Okay, so then the question is, why can't the renovations make the second floor a bigger unit?
Because there's a tenant that's been there probably 30 years.
Okay.
So you'd have to move him.
Okay.
The guys that, Vietnam vet that's been there, the guy's been there a long time.
You're right.
Yeah.
Throw that in and then we're really.
No, really, so he's a really
No, I
nice
believe
guy.
it. I believe it.
Yeah,
No, seriously.
but the tenants downstairs aren't the best either after.
Do you have any documentation to show that you cannot realize a reasonable return on your investment if it stays as a 2-unit? Because similar to what we were just saying, another requirement to grant a use variance is that we need in hand documentary evidence, competent financial evidence to show that you cannot realize a reasonable return on your investment having the property the way it is currently. And that's not to say it doesn't exist, but I don't believe we have that in hand tonight. We did receive an email from Frank Alonso. I'm assuming it has to do with the first floor tenant, not the
Right.
rent.
Yeah,
But this email, standing alone by itself about back rent, would not qualify as competent financial evidence to show that Frank or you or anybody who's in charge of this property can't realize a reasonable financial return maintaining it as a
All right.
two-family.
so we purchased it for 160. Bottom unit is not paying. They haven't paid in a year since they've been there. 3-bedroom typically in Troy, if they're not on section 8, you're probably getting $950 with the old market rents. Upstairs guy pays probably $550, I think what he has. So basically your mortgage on 160 is going to be like $1,550. So basically you're evening out there. So my client is collecting no rent. He's basically losing money on the client downstairs. With the opportunity of a rear unit that's there, why not push the envelope? If it's to say, my client, even if he got both rents at where the rents were a year ago, to keep it, at that price, he's not making no money. So really it's just, you're paying, your tenants are paying your mortgage, basically it evens out. So I don't know what you consider making money. Like, even if you made $300, would that be worth anybody's time here to make $300 a month on an investment?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just know what the standard is that we have to apply
Right.
to each one of these applications. And while I'm sympathetic to your client's story that he has a Vietnam vet on the second floor, he doesn't want to charge excessive rent, and I respect that. He knew that, or you knew that, whoever was knew that when the property was purchased in December of 2021, right? Like, you knew this person occupied, you knew you were purchasing a 2-family, a
Yeah.
2-unit.
Right.
So you knew the risks going into this when you did it. So nothing has changed between now and then that wasn't self-created. You want to make it a 3-unit because you want to make more money off of it, correct?
Well, the
That's
opportunity
what I
is there. It's already 3 units, so it's not like we're turning it in 3 units. It's already been there. So, it's
But it's not zoned to allow for that.
right, exactly. But yeah, he knew what he was getting into when he bought it, but to take the opportunity to do it, is something everybody would, you do it yourself. If you were a real estate investor, you move on the property and you try to get that approved for what's there. It's just common sense. You're not just going to let it sit. We could have filled it, all day long, but it's not a legal 3-unit, so that's the thing. So we're going by the book. We're trying to get it done. There's 30 properties up and down there that are, over 2 units. There's a building next door that's burned down. I think that's an 8-unit. There's plenty of parking there. It's, the location is prime for what's there. You got, plenty of student rentals there. There's opportunity for, somebody that's coming to the area, that wants to rent something that's not, 3 kids looking for a 3-bedroom. So that's kind of, it meets the standards of the area, it meets the criteria of the area. There's plenty of parking, so I don't think based on the numbers is, really, something should be approved on. I think if the use is there, so it should be approved. I know you guys got a different way to look at it, but to go over the numbers and be like, my client's making money on it. You knew you're making money on it, you still are, and he doesn't have a self-claimed hardship, I don't think is, something to deny a unit for, basically, the use is there. It conforms to the area. There's plenty of parking. I think it should be approved, basically, but that's my opinion there.
We just got this letter from Frank, which was shown to us. I guess he sent it late this afternoon about the tenants downstairs. And the fact that they haven't been evicted or, they haven't paid rent and all
Yes,
that sort of thing.
Right.
Now, I'm just thinking out loud here about the fact that, forget all this. In other times, pre-pandemic, if you had a tenant who wasn't paying rent, you could have gotten rid of them a whole lot quicker.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So, all right, so we got to forget let's forget all of this, which is unfortunate. But let's just talk about the fact that in the normal times, the rent probably would have been, what did you say, $9.90 or something like that?
I think $950 there.
Okay, $9.50. So
about 3
let's
years
just
ago.
pretend that these people were paying the $9.50. So in terms of how much he's making, as opposed to whether or not he's got a self-created hardship, you know what I mean? Like,
So he also put down, because he was an investment loan, 25% on it. So, 25% on that is, I think you're, 40 grand he put down. So that kind of lowers the mortgage payment, which, it comes out, he's putting a little cash in his pocket, but.
well,
not-
isn't
not
that why you
much.
buy? I mean, that's why you buy property, isn't it? I mean, I don't think that that's a sin to put cash in your pocket. I mean,
Yeah,
that's why you buy property.
right.
I mean, I think we all appreciate the fact that you didn't go ahead and rent out that back apartment.
Yeah,
when you
100
could have,
yes.
because let's be honest, a lot of people would have and have done that in the past. And it might be true that it kind of fits in with that whole strip on Oakwood Avenue. But the bottom line is that it is an R2 zone and we're required to meet these certain criteria. So I'm just going to make a suggestion that something more concrete as far as financials be provided to us. Because that email is, while it's awful that you're not making the rent from the bottom tenants, we can't consider that as part of the hardship.
All right. So on that.
So, yeah, let's say this is what I would make if I had the two family. If this was a two family, this is what the expenses are, this is what the income is, and this is what my bottom line is.
All right.
If I have a three family, this is what the expenses are, blah, blah, blah. And forget this guy.
Yeah.
Put in what you would have charged for the rent.
Right.
That he would have been, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Keeping in mind that there is a cost to convert it from its current state.
But he said that you don't have to, but it's already a
Well,
three family.
he's not using all the property, right?
Yeah,
Part of
but
the
it-
building's vacant. There's a unit that's vacant.
Yeah, the top unit to the back is.
But I thought you said it was,
It's
have that
fully
habitable.
redone. It's fully written. You can work right in there and live in there. As it
Right.
says.
That space.
Or does something with it.
or-
Right,
or
so,
Converts it back into a larger unit.
which
After
would
all that
also, right.
Oh, I see what
so
you're saying.
That would
if he
factor
made the
in.
top floor into a two family or a two,
Space he has, you would have to
Right.
now undo that renovation.
okay, and make the top floor
And
a
so
one.
That would work in your favor.
That would
Right,
work
right,
too.
right.
When you're providing us the financials.
Right.
That if we were to keep it as a two family and spend the money to convert the top floor into one unit.
Yeah.
This cost would be incurred. Therefore,
So
There's a
is there a
hardship.
threshold for that you guys go by? Is there actual numbers set in the zoning book, or is it just like, you guys look at the numbers like, hey, it's, it is, that's what I don't know. Is there,
It's just a factor that needs to be
Yeah.
considered.
Yeah.
But what is the factor? Is it like a percentage? Is there a little
No.
bit?
No.
Is it
No,
not
it's not.
money? Is it
No.
like if he's making 350 versus 300?
There really isn't a sliding scale. You as the applicant need to put forth
Right.
competent financial evidence to show that not only can you not realize a reasonable return, but your inability to do so is substantial.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so, right,
Unable to realize a reasonable return for any and all approved uses in an R2 zone.
Correct. So what that basically says is you need to explore other uses that are allowed within that district without getting a variance of any kind. And you need to demonstrate that it's not possible to realize a reasonable return with those uses too.
All right.
Yeah, so just look in the zoning to see what the other uses in the R2 are.
All right.
I mean, obviously,
Um,
you're not gonna put a.
So,
I don't know,
we guys
whatever.
take into account that the tenant's not paying rent for
No.
the past 2 years?
It's a terrible thing, like Katie said, it's a horrible thing,
Right.
and you gotta evict and all that sort of thing, but that isn't, that, no.
It goes along with the
Buyer
business.
beware.
Yeah, that's just like,
However,
that stinks.
if your client is being charged 5,000 for a residential eviction by an attorney.
Yeah,
I'd like to know the name of that attorney
yeah,
because he's robbing Frank.
Yeah.
Just so you're aware.
Well, he's from New York City probably too, the
Yeah.
lawyer.
it
Right.
could be.
Yeah,
So I would make a motion to table it until next
right.
month. So
Yeah,
to
just-
give you time to get those financials together.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll provide, I get you the mortgage statement with top floor guys paying, bottom
Might be best
floor.
if you present it in like a pro forma type of format.
Yeah, yeah,
If
we-
You were trying to sell this as an investment to
Ri-
somebody else.
Right, we can do
So
it.
You work up to 2 different versions. You work up a version where you're converting the top floor back into a single unit.
Yeah,
And then your income would be, two units at $950 a month.
yeah,
Right? Whereas the other pro forma would be for the 3 units.
right,
Which wouldn't have those construction costs associated with it.
yeah,
And you would just be collecting the additional rent. And when presented that way, will likely help your case.
yeah, that's not a problem. They'll put profit and loss together, just pro
You know,
forma.
are you local?
Yes, I work with New Scotland Realty. We're out of
Okay.
Albany. And that's what we do is we do a ton of commercial and put performers together and
So is there
Loss.
someone local?
yeah,
who-
we do that.
So you will manage the property? Because that's,
Yes, we will.
okay,
All right. So that cost to be in there as well. Take 10% of
upkeep
gross.
and all that. Oh, yeah,
Right, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. Because
So-
that's, we're not in the business of wanting to discourage people from owning and renting
Right,
and upkeeping properties.
Right.
We have to meet this criteria in order to approve a use
Right.
variance.
good, makes sense.
okay, so we can have a motion to table, or John, did you have something else you wanted to add?
I have a question.
Okay,
There's only a use variance required for this. The parking and the density issues are tied into the use variance, or will they have to be an area
They're
variance?
separate area.
They're
variances.
separate
They will.
It
variances.
could be, I believe, one motion, but
I would recommend doing the use variance first, because if that gets approved, then you go to the next one. If it doesn't, then you don't even get to the area variances.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm
Thinking
looking
ahead.
at the, no, not at all. I'm just looking at the hard copy
Yeah.
and it only mentions a use variance, that's all.
oh, okay,
So
okay, so, are we ready to, do we have a motion to table? Jo- oh, okay, Mark makes an application to table, John seconds. On the motion, all in favor? Aye, opposed, carried. Okay,
Awesome, thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just needed clarity.
No, yeah, no, you're right, though. You're right. You're right. Next case, PLZBA 2022-0064, 519 Congress Street. The applicant, Jan Simongowski, is proposing to use vacant land as a restaurant, tavern, and nightclub with more than 50 customers at one time, requiring a use variance. Okay, if you introduce yourself, please, and tell us what he wants to do.
Good evening. My name is Barb Nelson. I am an architect at TAP Inc., and we are here to help John Simonagowski gain rights to utilize the land that he owns. This project is at once very complicated and very simple. The property actually is divided by, it actually falls in 2 zones, both the B2 and the R3. And the use for which, the use which is proposed is really not a tavern restaurant. That's just the closest use that could be kind of picked out of the book. The site is wooded, it is sloped, it is rocky, and it is right up behind the Musa Restaurant and Musa the Hill. It has been terraced. It's really a landscape project. What Jan would like to do is make it available to private occasions, private parties, private, the fire department wants to have their barbecue there, the church wants to have a morning service, performers, producers, that kind of thing. The curfew would always be 9 o'clock, but there is no service there. There's no service of alcohol. There's no service of food. Anyone renting the space would bring it in. So they bring in a caterer. There's not even food prep there. There would be porta-johns brought in. So it's much like the pavilion at Grafton or the pavilion at Prospect Park. All right, except that it's a private piece of land, and it's really a gem. It's really a lovely little piece of greenery that is right now just pretty much abandoned. People can dump there, whatever. So, and it is nestled between a very sensible neighborhood commercial strip and residences on the uphill side. This use will be seasonal, May through October, weather permitting. The property has, so during COVID, Jan is a very ambitious and grand idea person, and running a restaurant that had to be closed down. He started developing terraces there, thinking people can eat outside. We can start to use this nice space. And that grew into, it's really a beautiful landscape project. But then, well, why not have a stage, and why not have, a pavilion where food could be served? So it grew into something greater. And as he became, aware, he was aware that he needed some approvals to officially use this. We sat down with the engineer and planning staff. Right between the property downhill that Jan and his son own and the property uphill that Jan owns runs an old paper city street. So the concept first was to actually purchase the street, and then setbacks wouldn't be an issue and things like that. So we kind of went through those ropes, got a survey, and then Corporation Council decided, no, let's not sell the street. Let's just go through all the approvals because a stairway was built that encroaches on the public right of way. And ironically, there's the road itself has kind of migrated over time, over pavings and plowings. And so the city right of way actually encroaches upon Jan's land as well. So there's this little complicated aspect to it. But it's really going to remain an open space. And there really is no definition of open space in terms of where it's allowed in the B2. Let me see, the B2. So the B2 allows restaurants, offices, taverns, delis, grocery stores, certainly things that would be more obtrusive, more invasive on the land than open air seating and a stage that is about the size of this set of tables here that you see. So all the uses that are allowed are much more impactful on the land. Open space is allowed in the in R2, but it isn't called out in R3. And nothing he's doing here will prohibit another developer or someone at a later time, another buyer, to build allowed uses, to come in and build a restaurant, build a parking lot, build a grocery store, liquor store. So I'm just kind of laying it all out for you to understand, kind of help me understand where this really falls in terms of use variance. Yes, is this a hardship? He's owned it for 15 years. Could we prove to you that he can make money doing this and couldn't make money doing, building an apartment building? Most developers would be looking at this piece of land and salivating, say, oh, student housing. and they'd throw up 40 apartments. John has no interest in building apartments and building anything large. No, I mean, we could bring you a bank refusal for a mortgage or a construction loan because you probably wouldn't qualify to develop that kind of a use. So we're not using it for, so the use that's defined, the use is really a landscaped outdoor picnic area. And it just doesn't really show up in the current uses. Now, I know we are currently bound by the current zoning ordinance. The upcoming zoning ordinance, whether it's here in a couple months or half a year, it will allow open space distinctively. It says open space. And this is open space. It's a private park. It's like a parkland for a gathering of people who choose to rent the venue, produce an event, and then leave. So
Okay, so who decided that we needed to use variance? Okay, all right. Want to explain yourself?
Sure.
If you don't mind, Barbara.
no, absolutely.
I'm a little confused.
I visited the site a few times in the last few months. Essentially, most of the project has been constructed. What is up there is seating for somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 guests. At sort of picnic table, picnic bench type seating. There's several structures up there. One appears to be a bar. It's not fully enclosed. There's no roof for part of the structure. And then based on the applicant's explanation that they would be holding catered events, I felt that it fit a more of a tavern type use without alcohol really being the main focus of it. But it is there is a food angle, an alcohol angle, and an entertainment angle to the property. It's not configured the way you would see a pavilion that was going to be rented out. I mean, that's not what it is. It's more of a venue.
It's an amphitheater, really. And I don't dispute that that's like the closest thing we can find in
But will
the
that,
ordinance.
I was just gonna ask that.
with the new ordinance, would it be an
Would it be
allowed
allowed?
use? No. Okay,
Because that area would still be residential.
right,
I have to look at the map to know for sure.
okay.
I could answer in about 5 minutes. Okay.
So what would you qualify this use as? Like, what would it, under the zoning that we have in the city of Troy, what would it most closely resemble?
I suppose they could make the argument it's more of a banquet hall, but I think they're gonna run into very much the same problems with that definition as they are with what I've defined it as.
So would it be beneficial for us to make an interpretation as to what?
Right.
the
Well, I've
use
made the
is?
interpretation, they could challenge my
Well, I would-
interpretation.
Right, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, no, I just want to explain the nuance of what is actually proposed, and that I think banquet hall probably is a really good, because it's much more of a per use.
As opposed to
Activity.
like, I'm just trying to figure this out. I unfortunately, no, wait a minute, yeah, no.
With its definitions.
Sure.
No, okay, but I just wanted to say that I went by, but I was looking up from Congress Street. I didn't realize that you go around Richmond Street, et cetera. So I really didn't get a feel for the place. I was just like, oh, wow, that looks like a really strange thing, as I'm going down Congress Street. How is this use different from, I'm just trying to get it straight in my head. The concert thing at Powers Park, which they're rebuilding the stage there, and people can go. The other day, there was a great big fiesta of some sort there. And then just about every weekend and they're not, they're fine. I'm just saying, it's a park. It's an enclosed park. And people go there and they bring their grills and this and that. I don't know if they get permits for it or if they just go. I don't know.
I think that would be the difference, is that those are special events
No, not really, because I know a lot of people just, I mean, I see them in there because I live by there. I mean, I just see people go and I was looking at this family the other night, 4th of July. It looked like they brought their own grill and their own hot dogs and they were just having a little picnic. And they're redoing which you're probably well aware of, the band stage there. It's getting the roof on it and all that sort of stuff.
It's
Is that
private.
how it's different?
Yeah. Private.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's why I wanted to know. Okay, so Katie's having a party up there. I can't go up and sit in the thing. Yeah, okay, all right.
Sort of the banquet hall definition.
Okay. Whereas opposed to, I could have sat at the other picnic table the other night, eating my hot dogs. And they couldn't tell me to leave because it's a public place. They will?
Outdoor amplifier.
Yeah,
They can,
that was
possible.
my,
So
yeah.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mark.
If your applicant knew that there would be some form of permitting required to do this,
Mhm.
why did they complete substantial construction on aspects of it prior to seeking out those approvals? Like one of those asking permission or begging forgiveness kind of things.
I don't know that I can answer that. I think it got out of his way. I think he got out
I believe
ahead
your
of him.
applicant's raising his hand in the back. If you- Do you want me to call on him or not?
Sure. Introduce Jan. Come on.
Actually, that idea to do this, it came from council people from Troy. And they encouraged me to do that. And the idea that most of it was, not most of it. Should be if we start cooperating good, which we did a lot on Congress Street, and a lot of people are thankful for us. This could be another stage of continuation of a great relationship. And this area definitely needs that. So why some of the work is done? Because I was told it's a landscaping. Terraces, they are only that high, and there's 6 of them. And I was asking this, no permit for that. So you can do terracing. And then I was asked, what about, none of the structure is 100 square feet.
Who were you asking?
I was asking, well, I was asking everybody. I was asking a lot of people, you know, because a lot of people have been coming. I've been showing this to everybody. I've been showing to city officials. I've been showing, and everybody loves it. And they all waiting until this gets open and they be part of it. It would be completely, you know, disappointing at this stage, this amount of work, and this what we can contribute, you know, could be ignored like that. So none of the buildings are more than 100 square feet. And I was told that, you know, you can build in Troy without permit structure which are not more than 100 square feet. Is that right?
That is correct.
Yes.
I dispute that the structures don't exceed that.
No, the way, why?
Okay, well,
The question was.
well,
why?
you're,
No, it's-
he's saying no, you're saying yes. Go ahead, Alana.
It's not correct if the use is not in line or not allowed by the zoning. It doesn't matter what the size of the structure is.
Right.
Yeah.
So yes,
Okay.
it's a, John
Now,
got
did you
ahead of himself.
suggest- Pardon me, did you suggest a little while ago that when the new variance comes in, that this will have gone away?
Well, my reading, and again,
But
it's not
Aaron
adopted.
said that's not true.
Well, it will be,
You didn't think so, or whatever.
it
Oh.
will be a 2-family zone, which allows open space, but it also lists it as a neighborhood 4 development density, which that density promotes busy mixed uses within, you know, promoting pedestrian activity. So is that really meant? So Congress Street is very much in all the businesses there are very much in keeping with the R2 neighborhood, and the new zoning classification, you know, I think supports that, underpins that. And so if busy mixed uses and pedestrian activity, a banquet hall, I think would fall right in there.
Okay, before we go any further, do we have anybody else to speak in favor of this proposal?
We do actually. Denise is on. there.
Okay, Denise?
Denise, could you unmute yourself and join in?
Sorry about that, computer problems. Hi, my name is Denise Dunham. I live at 10 Prospect Avenue, which is actually right above the area that Jan is speaking of. I've lived in the area, I've lived up here my whole life, 53 years. I've been a neighbor of Jan's for probably over 15 years, close to 20. And what he is doing down there, I admit when I was first starting, I was kind of skeptical about it. But since it's now in the state that it's in, it looks very nice. The improvement of the hill area is wonderful. Where he has cleaned up and done what he's done had become a dumping ground because it had that back road that used to go to the paper mill. That's where people would dump their couches, their furniture, their appliances they no longer wanted. And it just continue to pile. But since Jan has started the improvements, it really does look beautiful. I am also the director of the Mount Ida Community Food Pantry on Congress Street. I'm very big into trying to get the area up here to look at the area up here as a community. And if anything, I think that's Jan's goal, is not to make money off of the land or anything like that. I think it's more to give people up here a sense of community. And I think his ideas and his goal is going in that area, going into that direction of just trying to give the people up here on the hill, in the hill area, a sense of community.
Okay, thank you very much, Denise. Does anybody else want to speak in favor? Anybody want to speak in opposition? Oh, you don't want to speak in opposition to your own project there, Jan. Anybody want to speak in opposition? No, right? I can't see behind you there, Barb. Nope. Okay. Okay, did you have something else you wanted to add quickly?
This is on surrounded by two dead end streets. It doesn't really bother anybody. It's only 3 houses over there, and all the other houses are far from it. And Denise is the one, and I have the 2 other ones.
Oh,
And,
that's helpful.
Struggling that, it's something disappointing for me that this is completely innocent project, not interfering with anything.
Okay, I think the problem comes in the fact that you went ahead and did it without any approvals. You know what I mean? Nobody likes that.
There's no disputing that.
Yeah, and then that's really where a lot of it comes in.
Statement on that point. It wasn't that it was just done without approval. In its current state, it is unapprovable.
Well, okay, fine, but had he come for approvals first, he could have worked with the city
Sure.
and started something that would have been approvable. Yeah, but that's really what I meant.
It could be left the way it is. It is not compliant. It's not ADA accessible.
Oh, I see what
Oh.
you're saying.
It's gonna
Oh,
be,
I-
a lot of this is gonna be ripped out and rebuilt anyway, even if it was allowed.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, hang on, Jan. All right, you're paying her to do work, speak for you. Go ahead, Barbara.
Right. I will take up all of those issues directly with Aaron and with planning and with codes as an architect, and we'll make whatever changes need to be made. We do have an engineer who has vouched and, inspected and looked at this. However, we're here about the zoning use. Okay.
Okay.
Planning
Right, but I
and
understand. Aaron was-
access
was
and
responding to what
later
I said, which
approvals.
is- Yeah.
later
which is-
approvals, we can
Similar to our last.
we can work with.
Do you have any documentation, financial documentation to show that you cannot realize a reasonable return with any other use that's allowable?
I think that's the nuance of this. One probably could find a very reasonable return, putting 30 apartments up there, dumpsters, parking, people coming and going. And would that be any, just because it's allowed?
It's not.
Should it
necessarily
be-
whether it's allowed, it's the factors that we need to consider in evaluating these applications, and that is one of the concrete factors, is that the applicant needs to demonstrate they cannot realize a reasonable return proven by documentary evidence to show that. And with respect to any other uses that are allowed. within
I
the
couldn't
existing
imagine what
district.
documentation really to
you
bring
even-
you, other than
you
this
even
would be a $3
suggested-
million project if you did this, or a $2 million if you did
Exactly.
that, or $1
That's
million if you did
exactly
that.
it. So this is an allowed use. This is what it would cost. That's not attainable by my client. This is also an allowed use. This is
And
what it
that's the
would
key.
cost.
It's not attainable by this client. He's not bankable to that level
Right.
and has not the
But you
desire.
have to, but you have to
But
show
that
how
doesn't
much it would
prove that it
cost.
wouldn't make money.
But like you even said, a refusal from a bank to, I mean, and I don't know
Yep.
if that exists or if that was just an example you were giving, but in order.
It doesn't exist. It is an example. And it would be
But it's
denied.
the workup of those financial possibilities
Mhm.
would be more than what we have now. And we're just not allowed to even consider a use variance without meeting those criteria. And the financials is the biggest one.
All right, well,
Is that
So
something?
if you can
would
come back
like?
with the financials.
yeah, I'll come back with a
I mean, I-
completely fabricated
Right.
list of things that could be built and
Right.
what they might cost and what return they might bring and how
And
this client doesn't, he
Right.
doesn't want to build. Just because something's allowed doesn't mean
Right.
one, should be forced to build something, but
Yeah, no.
I mean, you understand
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And
that it is just an exercise.
and as
No.
an aside, I love
No.
the idea.
No.
I mean,
She's speaking and yeah, I love the idea too. I mean, as an idea, it conceptually, it's fine. I haven't seen it, as I said, but
You have to go up that little
yeah, I know
back
that now.
alleyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know that
but
now.
to see the current, what's there in the hill and
Mhm.
I mean, it's beautiful.
Mm.
And so I don't have any doubt that it will be maintained and that it will be beautiful. It's just that in order to grant a use variance, we have to have those
All right.
criteria met.
That being said, should we
Yeah,
have this tabled until the applicant wants to come back with the proper?
Is
No,
that-
we're
are you
done.
Making a motion or?
No, I'm asking the group if you think we should table it.
well, I should say that we also had a letter from Holy Name of Jesus, the National Catholic Church in John's favor, and a letter from one of the fire department, fire officers who.
Where's the Holy Name of Jesus Roman Catholic Church?
It's not a location, it's, okay.
Oh, it's a character.
It's just a character reference.
Oh, character
Yeah.
reference. Oh, okay.
And it talks about the project.
Okay, so
Okay,
do we have a motion to table or,
I would
Uh,
make a motion to table.
okay, Mark's made a motion to table. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, John seconding on the motion. All in favor to table? Aye. Opposed? Carried. So we'll
Question?
see what happens.
can we proceed with the planning
Aaron?
review in July and come back here in August?
I don't see a need to go to the planning commission at this point. You can ask for a letter from you guys documenting the code violations at the property.
Sent that.
No, you sent a letter from Walt Vanderloo that said that everything's fine, but it isn't. So we need somebody to go through and do a code compliance check on that property and
Well,
document all
He went
the items that are.
through and observed
These
no.
letters, we can talk.
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah, right.
Okay.
Okay, next case, PLZBA 2022-0065, Zero Smart Court. A use variance. The applicant, James and Jennifer Strope, proposing to install a 30 by 50-foot steel garage and row of storage bins on a vacant land. This requires the use variance. Okay. Mr. Griffin, you're back.
I'm back. It's been use
Okay.
variances all night long.
Go ahead.
This is a site located on what's called Smart Avenue, is it, or Smart?
Court,
Court.
smart court.
Well, I think it's the dumbest court in the city. of
Well, there
New
you
York.
go.
I hate to say.
We have that
to
on
the
record now.
full board, but how this roadway, because it's not a real street, there's no water or sewer on the street, there's pavement, but it doesn't look like it's maintained too well. It starts on Spring Avenue and dead ends in behind the, an apartment building on Pauling Avenue. And the apartment building has got about a 10 to 12 car parking lot, which is dirty and not taken care of, and it's never been paved. I'd like to just give you a little map area.
Thank you.
Those are the two lots that people own that are not full-grown lots. They're parts of lots that they actually have title to. The places marked in yellow are all commercial places that surround this property. In the two lot area.
Mhm. We got that on our,
I have a copy on my computer, but thank you.
yeah, I have it too. Thank you.
Thanks.
My client is Jennifer, who I've known since she worked in Fitzy's store when she was a sophomore in high school. Jennifer, will you come up? She and her husband own a business called Collar City
Concrete.
Cement. Before we go any further, I give you a promise that not more than one concrete truck would ever be at that site in a year, one a year. We talked about this coming up in the car. It's not a place where they want to use big trucks for concrete. They have pickups truck and they want to build a garage. They want to clean the area up. They're suggesting some bins outside on the other lot that would be things where it's rubbish. To my mind, it's one of the worst kept spots in the city of Troy.
I have a question.
Sure.
What's different about this application compared to the one that was brought November 14th of 2017?
Nothing.
Not a thing. And what happened with that one?
At that point, the board all agreed. They had all driven down there. They didn't see an issue with what we were proposing because there's already an existing garage down there that is zoned commercial. There was a neighbor who lived, well, the father lived on Albia Ave behind that. The father has since passed away. Someone else purchased the home. I do have signatures from the majority of that street stating that they don't have any issue with us being there. That's the only thing that tripped us up at that last
So I
meeting.
wasn't here and the minutes don't reflect online. So was the application denied?
The application was denied once that gentleman stood up and voiced his opinion. He was a prior city employee at Code.
So
Now-
why are you back? But
Well,
you're
because
gonna give it
it's-
another shot with the same application?
Yes, because he's no longer, again, the committee didn't have an issue. Like I said, all of the members had driven down there and before they asked for pros and cons, they said, we don't see an issue with what's going on. That was the only thing that tripped me up. So if he's no longer a part of it, I figured, why not try it again?
Now you said something there was zone commercial.
Yes, there's a yellow marker.
It's not zoned commercial, it is a commercial use.
Okay,
So there
but
was
isn't that what I'm filing
a
for?
use granted for that?
It was granted, I believe, I want to say it was 2003, I might have the year wrong. And that was granted to a roofing company for cold storage.
And that's the garage that's there now.
That's there now, it's been 20 years, 20+ years.
Is it being used now?
It is being used.
It is,
only as
okay.
cold storage.
Okay.
So there's, that building takes up most of the property,
Mm-hmm.
so there's no room for parking vehicles there. It's, pickup comes in, loads up, leaves, comes back at the end of the day.
Okay.
That's what that building is used for.
Okay. And so your proposal is to the right of that garage in the area down.
To the left.
If you're looking at that garage, I'm to the left.
Down the hill,
Okay.
down the hill and across the street.
Okay.
So.
And I'm not necessarily proposing, I'm sorry, anything different than that. I just have a few more trucks.
Okay.
I'm not proposing that we're gonna make concrete down there. Like, we're just gonna have a place to put our stuff inside. The trucks, the equipment, whatever it is that we're using to get it out of the weather. The guys go there in the morning, hook up, drive out, they go back, unhook, and they go home. The bins, I just want to clean up the area. I'm going to use one for topsoil because that's something I frequently use, one for crusher run, one for drainage stone.
It's really a desire to clean up on the ugly street. There's no building facing out to it except that one commercial garage.
Mm-hmm.
It's the back of everything. There's fences, there's reeds that are growing in wetland. They'll be left alone. The fences would be left alone and the area would get cleaned up to a certain degree by curb.
And it's not going to interfere with people who park behind those
No,
apartments?
I actually have one of those gentlemen with me tonight,
Okay.
speaking on my behalf.
Similar to the last couple applicants we've had, do you have any documentary evidence whatsoever to substantiate that you can't realize a reasonable return with the property zone the way it is now?
Well, I submitted the one family.
The issue is, I don't mean to interject, but from what I'm hearing is that this is the same exact application that was previously brought and denied. There's no authority that this board has to overturn a prior denial for the same exact application.
So the minutes don't reflect the other members saying what they said prior to?
That's not the basis for which this board can overturn a prior decision.
Okay. So you need a
It's-
whole, you would need a,
Was it exactly the same?
Mhm. I wasn't aware that it needed to be different,
So, and I haven't seen the prior minutes and I wasn't here back then. All I can review is the agenda because the minutes aren't available online, but the agenda has the same two variance requests that are currently being made, which
Yeah.
is why I asked.
Yes.
That being the case, Alana, what is your advice? If we don't have the authority to relook at something that's already been voted on?
I mean, the variance would have to be, the request would have to be denied if the applicant wants to put forth a different application at some point in the future for consideration by this board. Certainly, you're well within your right to do that, but this board just doesn't have the authority to redecide the same exact application previously brought when it was previously denied.
And just so the record's clear, nothing has changed in our city's zoning. Nothing has changed in our
No,
city's
not-
uses that would permit this application to come forward right now and be considered slightly different than the one that was delivered in 2017.
No, in the future, the current draft code would also cover this. It would still be zone residential.
Okay, that being the case, then,
So I have to, I'm not grasping. So I need to change the site plan to something else? Or, I just am not sure.
right, you don't want to do something that
Your
isn't,
application for a use variance specifically was denied. If there's a different application that you wish to bring, other than what was brought in 2017, you can certainly do that. But if the application is for the same thing that you requested in 2017, this board does not have the authority to overturn that for any reason, other than a change in circumstances, such as a change in zoning, as Mr. Pelosi indicated.
So I can't file for a use variance again.
No, I'm not saying you can't file for a use variance. I'm saying you can't file the same exact application for a use variance that you previously. So if there's a different request other than what you previously requested, you have the right to bring that. I can't tell you what the outcome would be, but you would have the right to bring that, and this board could consider it with all the factors that it has to consider.
Essentially the same thing. But no one-
Specifically.
Yeah, no, it's the same site plan, but I wasn't made aware that it needed to be different. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one said you can't.
Yeah, so the site plan you attached to the application was dated October 2017, so it is the same one from.
No, I've refilled out the application.
No, I'm sorry,
Right.
The site plan?
plans, yeah, that you attached are dated.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So what do I have,
You change the dimensions of the building.
right, like how many things would need to be changed before it's changed?
I mean, I don't have access to the minutes right now to be able to tell you that. I'd have to look to see I mean, I wasn't here in 2017, and I'm just unfortunately hearing for the first time as legal counsel that this was previously decided in 2017. So I'm not in a position right now as we sit here to be able to answer that question for you.
As to how many things have to be different to
But-
make it different?
To the
Wouldn't- would-
degree,
Excuse me, I was just going to suggest that wouldn't the applicant be better off coming into the planning department or some department, the code, and take care of it from that perspective rather than in this venue? Because all we can do is deny the request because it's, as I said, the same request that you had put in before. And as far as the nitty gritty part of what you're going to have to do to change the thing, I would think would be better discussed in a smaller group, either with Angie or whoever. Aaron, I don't know if you get involved in those things, but you know what I mean? Am I right or am I not right?
the answer's not going to come tonight.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
The answer's not going to come tonight. So wouldn't they be better off accepting our denial and then calling the planning department tomorrow and finding out how to go about?
Or do we even vote? Vote? Do we?
Didn't you
table
say
it?
we had to deny it or?
No, there's no table. I mean, you can't act on.
No. So didn't you say we had to deny it? We can't just ignore it. We have to deny it based upon the fact that it's this.
Board does not act on it?
Right, this board can, I mean, as legal counsel, I'm just telling you, you cannot act on it, so.
So does that mean it's a denial or is it just mean we can't act on it, then we don't do anything, we'll go away?
It's just going away at this point.
Okay, so then we would just move on to the next case.
Yes.
Okay.
Certainly reach out to the city for further
Cool.
discussion.
We'll bring in the
Okay.
change. Joe.
Do I know- So
Right.
again, I don't know what department I'm reaching out to.
Not doing anything. Just- You gotta make up your mind. what
Planning?
you wanna
Planning.
do.
Planning?
Yep.
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay, thank you.
We're taking it well. Okay. Next case, PLZBA 2022-0072, 274 4th Street. The applicant Tiffany de Graffenried is proposing to utilize the storefront at 274 4th Street as a boutique requiring a use variance. The applicant present? Okay. Want to introduce yourselves and tell us what you want to do?
Hi, my name is Tiffany DeGraffenby, and this is my business partner.
Good afternoon. I'm her business partner. So we're trying to apply for the use of variance to have our business changed.
From the tattoo parlor to.
All right, so that was going to be my question and not of you, of someone over here, I think. We approved that tattoo parlor. I don't know what year we approved it, but it was the tattoo parlor and then evidently it went away. We approved it as a use for that area. That went out of business and from what I read, then Tiffany put her business in there. Doesn't that use variance go with the property?
That's what I thought. I thought we felt.
It's a different use.
Yeah, this is a different use.
But the fact that it's a storefront doesn't, just because it's a store, it would have to have been another tattoo parlor in order to stay?
Within 12 months.
Right, but it could only be a tattoo parlor. It couldn't be another business as this.
It be any other allowable use for a tattoo parlor.
Okay.
But don't we
Okay,
fall under
sorry, Tiffany.
neighborhood commercial though for the property?
This is, it's a neighborhood residential. It's not neighborhood commercial.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, then why don't you let's just go ahead then and have you tell us what it is that you want to do, that you already started to do.
So I have a boutique slash beauty supply store. And I feel as if the use variance we should be eligible of so because I've been working with like the Chamber of Commerce and they kind of explained to me that they thought that I.
Excuse me just a minute. Could you take your conversation outside, please?
And they thought.
Pardon me, could you take your conversation outside, if you don't mind? Thank you.
Like, gonna
Go ahead, right, you've been working with the chamber.
And they thought that I fell under the neighborhood commercial because of the R4 zoning. They said that that was a stipulation listed on the R4 zoning sheet. And they explained that neighborhood retail is allowed because of the businesses that are already in the area. But I guess our usage is different, but it's kind of similar to what's already surrounding us. Like convenience stores and things like that. We sell a lot of the same items that they sell, as well as other things. So the daily usage would kind of fall under because we sell the same things.
So you, when you're open, people in the neighborhood go into your store and buy,
socks, t-shirts,
okay,
head caps, like a lot of the things retail wise that the neighboring stores sell.
okay.
The only thing we don't sell that they do sell is food, because the structural setup in our store doesn't allow us to have freezers and things like that. We only have about 4 outlets. There's 2 like kitty corner
Oh, wow.
in the midsection of the store, and there's 2 in the back. So, and yeah, the property has been there since I think like 1890. So the wiring for the whole building is commercial. I mean, is residential, and I'm the only commercial unit, and it's always been commercial. It's never
Right.
been anything but a commercial unit. It was a tattoo parlor, it was the art gallery. So that it was never set up to be a apartment or a grocery store or a cafe or a restaurant. Unfortunately, we don't have the wiring, the electrical wiring to support those type of things.
Okay, you're making me nervous. Right. How about, do you own the building?
No.
Okay.
So I did see in your application that you tried to get the financing to convert it.
Yeah.
And I guess my question is the information that we got in the application, is that enough as far as the financials?
No, there actually has to be some type of documentation as to that.
Okay.
Like my income tax, maybe?
Or the denial. You said that something got denied. It looks like 2 different things.
The PPP loan?
Yep.
Yeah, I applied for that a
And
couple
the
of
small
times.
business grant. So
Yeah.
proof of that. So I don't know if you were listening to the other, some of the other cases that we've had, but in order for us to approve a use variance, you need to show, we have to see documented proof of financial hardship.
Okay.
The problem with this case in comparison to some of the others is that they're not the owners of the properties. So that it'd have to be established that the owner cannot receive a reasonable return on
Okay,
with a use, not this
Okay.
particular.
not the 10. Okay.
So while some.
So can she really
similar
even
information
bring
would
it?
be helpful, the fact that this particular applicant may not be enough to overcome that. There may have to be something from their landlord.
But I thought for that matter that only the owner of the property could be the applicant. Wasn't that the problem we've had in the past? That if you're not,
The owners
if you're
don't,
not the owner, then you can't bring the case?
They live in Long Island.
Authorization back as agent.
And, and do you have that?
I think she emailed it to one of them too. I gave the landlord the information earlier because she was going
Okay.
back to Long Island.
So we do have that.
No, I don't think we do.
Okay.
Oh,
And that's the problem with the landlords. They don't live locally. So they tend to like just do things pass and go. So I gave her all the information to send the form to.
you gave her
Katrina.
being the landlord?
The landlord, yeah,
Landlord,
sorry,
yeah.
Gifty.
We have no authority to act because you could be, I'm not saying you are, but you could be anybody off the street or from a different city who just wants a variance granted for a particular property. You can't say yes to that because
Yeah.
it's not
Is
yours
the-
to give out.
Right. Is the landlord aware of this?
Yes, she's aware of everything.
Okay. And so she rented to you,
Yes.
knowing your intention for the building?
Yes, and I like literally never did anything like this before, and she didn't like tell me what I needed to do. I kind of leaned on, like I said, the Chamber of Commerce for all my help, and they gave
Well,
me.
you know,
like,
I mean, in her defense, maybe, and in yours, I thought, when I saw it, well, we've already
That it
approved
was
the
just-
tattoo parlor and it's just another business going in there.
That's what we. all
I thought that you could do that. Evidently, I was wrong. Wasn't the first time, but, you know, so perhaps she did too. She might have run into you with that thought too, that forever, as long as any of us can remember, that was a store of some
Yeah,
sort or other.
Exactly, and the same thing from the Chamber of Commerce when
Right.
Tom, because I know he was trying to kind of giving them a hard time, but I think he was more or less just trying to like support me and let them understand that this has always been commercial and it's just a change of use for another storefront,
Right,
like you stated. So we didn't think we had to go through this rim of changes.
right.
But we do have like pictures of neighboring businesses in the R4 zoning that's doing similar things.
Yeah, no, I remember when they were,
That Tom printed
the
out.
art center was there.
Just to elaborate, because again, this is, a lot of these are based on an interpretation that I've made, right? That's why they're here.
So you're the heavy. Go ahead.
No problem.
Right.
In this case, my interpretation of neighborhood commercial, based on the definition that's in our current code, is that neighborhood commercial is meant for services being provided to neighboring residents on a daily basis.
Find your time, June.
Which we are.
So coffee shops,
Right.
a deli, grocery stores fit that definition, at least small grocery stores do. The issue I had was this seemed like a retail establishment. And because our code doesn't define retail, it would essentially allow anybody going forward to sell anything out of this store. And typically, we've had pushback on that in terms of, you know, when it comes to like neighborhood stores, right? Because neighborhoods would not want this to be, we had this in Lansingburg, they don't want it to be a smoke shop. Okay, that's retail, right? We don't define what you're selling.
Right.
You're either selling things or you're providing a service. So restaurants, grocery stores, things like that, our code says that they're providing services to the residents. That was what, that interpretation, just like I mentioned before, could be challenged.
Right. The
so-
only, yeah, and I understand and I would agree with you.
What she's selling, while they're goods, they are goods that are consumed on a daily basis and that the neighborhood, you know, I mean.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
need socks every day. Right.
Yeah,
not gonna
they
be
are.
here for her.
Right, right. No,
The case
but you're
was
right.
made, that might be a better avenue,
Yeah,
is to challenge the interpretation.
that's what we
Classify
thought,
the
yeah.
use as neighborhood commercial, and then she doesn't need the use variance. That still would require action by the board.
But it would just be an agreement that it was, I was just gonna say that too. That would be part two.
We're still coming back to it.
Right, right.
But that might be a better avenue to address this.
Right. Yeah, because that's what Tom said. That would be the best thing, the neighborhood commercial to go on, because we would fall within that variance. That allows.
Because I do remember the art store now. the
Yeah, it
art
was the
center,
whole
'cause
art
I
store,
think it was
yeah.
or something like that. And
Yep.
then it was the tattoo parlor and
Yeah,
I know,
That's not neighborhood commercial, that's retail.
right.
right.
But if that was, you know,
And it was
But it
there.
was there.
so-
To me, this.
And
is
there
more
was-
neighborhood commercial Because you're probably getting more foot traffic than anything.
Yeah.
For the
I'm-
socks.
Right.
The socks.
Like, I'm
For
not-
the socks, get it? No, but you're right. Yeah, right, exactly. But you're absolutely right. I mean, more people would be going in to buy socks and
do.
t-shirts
They
than would
do.
be going in to buy a piece of art.
And
or
then they
their
also
tattoo.
like to stop by and just talk to me. Like the neighborhood, I'm really close with like all the neighboring communities. Like I give free stuff back. I give away t-shirts. Sometimes I give things for the girls' hair, the homeless. There's a lot of children over there whose mothers can't afford things for them back to school. So if I have it in my store, I give it to them. And we're pretty close to the whole neighborhood and they want us there.
Yeah.
And they come in there every day, even if they don't need a t-shirt or socks, they're buying it
They're
just
stopping in
because.
to-
Yeah. Even lip gloss and like beauty supplies, like headscarves. We sell things for $1. So the whole
So-
neighborhood is in there regularly.
So if you had advice from the Chamber of Commerce to challenge
The
use
meaning, yeah.
as neighborhood commercial.
Yeah,
This is
because he
neighborhood
feels like
commercial,
if it's
that's different.
neighborhood commercial, then we would fall under that for what we're doing.
So part of the issue was the use of the word service
Right.
in the code, and Aaron's interpretation was that this didn't fall within that definition. So what this applicant could do, if the board wishes to table it, is we need obviously the authorization to act as agent. If we receive that, they could, for the next meeting or a future meeting, ask this board to like essentially challenge that interpretation. This board would then be tasked with determining it. And then there could be a follow-up application even on for the same meeting, that if this board decided that Aaron's interpretation was correct, then it's next tasked with determining if a use variance
We've done this.
application
necessary.
should be approved.
Procedurally, though, can we
Okay.
table an application where there is no authority yet to even consider it?
No, I think we have to just.
I think we had this, we ran this problem last year. Yeah.
It would have to be renoticed, but we can do that for next month.
Right.
So.
So we just don't do anything tonight.
We haven't done
Yeah,
anything
we don't-
tonight.
Oh, we haven't done anything yet, right, exactly. I think we only voted on 1 out of 10 or something. Yeah, we did
So
one.
this
We
would
did
be,
give
they
one
would
out,
come
yeah.
back with 2 applications. Now, is there,
Correct, an application for an interpretation.
and
or-
then if
or
that
determination.
is, and if that is made, then we could go forward with the second application.
The second
so
one
tired.
could become moot depending on what the decision of that first one is. And
Right.
if it's not, then the board can move forward with the second one, same day.
Okay. And is there someone to guide the applicant?
Well, I can
through
provide
that?
just a little bit of guidance right now.
And then
Okay.
Even though this is against
Wait-
the interpretation.
Wait till the meeting
Yeah.
goes off. Wait till it's not live anymore.
Well, I mean, I think what you need to do is you need to be able to explain how your business model, the items that you provide are consumable on a daily basis and provide a service to the residents.
Yeah.
And I think that.
So some of what you
I'm-
just
I'm-
told us.
Yeah. I'm
Same thing,
I'm
just say it
feeling more
again.
that
Writing.
Oh, and right.
it's possible to make that argument,
Mhm.
than I did a half hour ago.
Or the,
Okay.
the art center, or the art. shop.
We make miracles happen on the
Right.
ZBA in Troy.
We have to clean.
So at this time, I would make a motion to
And
adjourn.
neighborhood commercials that they move on. Which planning would handle because it's a change of use, planning would handle hours of operation, anything that's, being out on the sidewalk, right? Like if they, whatever is kind of operational, site related would be handled by the planning.
Right,
So they may institute hours,
yeah.
10 PM, that's it, or they may request that the storefront be lit at night until a certain time, whatever
Yep.
planning commission.
So this isn't
Right.
us trying to make it harder for you. This is us trying to make sure it's done correctly.
Yeah.
I understand. Just a lot. Been a lot, yeah. I've never done any of this
Well, you're
before.
doing a great job.
You're doing a great job. And when you think about it, it won't take you long at all to do it. I mean, because you're just, like I said, you're just gonna write down what you just told us.
Okay.
You know what I
The only
mean?
meeting member of the ZBA is not even here tonight, so that's good. So-
That's right. And remember that,
cry.
and please remember to get that authorization from your landlord,
Okay.
because without that, you can't really do anything.
Doesn't
All right.
necessarily be emailed, it could be written and signed by him or
Okay.
whoever it is and provided to us in advance.
And
Okay,
if they feel more comfortable, they can write stipulations.
yeah.
It's not an authorization to pull a building permit or something like that. I mean, if
Yeah, because she
if
was
they're worried
asking
that
a
what
lot.
they're signing is like giving
Signing her building
access to the
away,
property
yeah.
or something. No, it's just administrative approval. You know, you
Yeah.
can really live it.
No, it didn't.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Motion
you're
to
all
adjourn.
set. We have a motion to adjourn from Mark, second. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Good night.
So the date is,
August, be the first Wednesday in August for us.
It would be August